This is SkyTour News for November 12th to the 18th. I'm Amanda Curran. November 16th, 1965. Venera 3 is launched. Venera 3 was a Venera program space probe that was built and launched by the Soviet Union to explore the surface of Venus. The probe comprised of an entry probe designed to enter the Venus atmosphere and parachute to the surface, and a carrier flyby spacecraft which carried the entry probe to Venus and also served as a communications relay for the entry probe. The entry body contained a radio communication system, scientific instruments, electrical power sources, and medals bearing the coat of arms of the Soviet Union. The entry probe probably crashed on Venus on March 1, 1966, possibly making Venera 3 the first space probe to hit the surface of another planet. However, its communication systems had failed before it reached Venus. November 16, 1973. Skylab 4 launches into Earth's orbit. Skylab 4 was the third manned Skylab mission and placed the third and final crew aboard the first American space station. The mission started on November 16, 1973, with the launch of 3 astronauts on a Saturn IB rocket from the Kennedy Space Center and lasted 84 days, 1 hour, and 16 minutes. A total of 6,051 astronaut utilization hours were tallied by the Skylab 4 astronauts performing scientific experiments in the areas of medical activities, solar observations, Earth resources, observations of a comet, and other experiments. With 3 rookies, Skylab 4 was the largest all-rookie crew launched by NASA. Skylab 4 was noted for several important scientific contributions. The crew spent many hours studying the Earth. Carr and Pogue alternately manned controls, operating the sensing devices which measured and photographed select features on the Earth's surface. Gibson and the other crew made solar observations, recording about 75,000 new telescopic images of the Sun. Images were taken in the X-ray, ultraviolet, and visible portions of the spectrum. As the end of their mission drew closer, Gibson continued his watch of the solar surface. On January 21, 1974, an active region of the Sun's surface formed a bright spot which intensified and grew. Gibson quickly began filming the sequence as the bright spot erupted. This film was the first recording from space of the birth of a solar flare. Skylab 4 was the last Skylab mission, and the station fell from orbit in 1979. November 16, 1974. The Arecibo message is transmitted. The Arecibo Observatory is a radio telescope in the municipality of Arecibo, Puerto Rico, and for more than 50 years the observatory's 1,000-foot radio telescope was the world's largest single-aperture telescope from its completion in 1963 until July 2016, when the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, or FAST, in China was completed. It is used in 3 major areas of research: radio astronomy, atmospheric science, and radio astronomy. Many scientific discoveries have been made with the observatory, including the discovery of periodicity of the crowd pulsar by Lovelace and others, provided the first solid evidence that neutron stars existed in 1968, and in 1974, Halse and Taylor discovered the first binary pulsar, an accomplishment for which they later received the Nobel Prize in Physics. In August of 1989, the observatory directly imaged an asteroid for the first time in history. On November 16, 1974, in an attempt to communicate with potential extraterrestrial life, was transmitted from the radio telescope towards the global cluster Messier 13, about 25,000 light-years away. The 1,679-bit pattern of ones and zeros defined a 23 by 73 pixel bitmap image that includes numbers, stick figures, chemical formulas, and a crude image of the telescope. We are currently waiting on a response. November 12, 2014. The Philae probe successfully lands on Comet 67P. Rosetta was a space probe built by the European Space Agency, launched on March 2, 2004. On August 6, 2014, the spacecraft reached the comet and performed a series of maneuvers to eventually orbit the comet at a distance of 30 to 10 kilometers. November 12th, its landing module Philae performed the first successful landing on a comet, though its battery power ran out 2 days later. Communications with Philae were briefly restored in June and July of 2015, but due to the diminishing solar power, Rosetta's communication module with the lander was turned off on July 27, 2016. September 30th of 2016, the Rosetta spacecraft ended its mission by hard landing on the comet in its Ma'at region. This is SkyTour News. I'm Amanda Curtis.